Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the books I read in January. I read 4 books and I started my 5th. I'll be honest, I slacked towards the second half of the month because I don't know why actually. I just got into a big reading slump. I started and DNF'd so many different books, but overall I think there's a good balance in here and there are 2 classics that I read that are definitely new favorites. Before I start, I want to say please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing all sorts of reading and writing videos and some video essays and vlogs when I get more time. Next month I'm hoping to do a video, not a video essay, just a vlog of me reading The Three Musketeers and annotating it in depth. If you want to know how I annotate my books, including some of the books in this wrap up, then take a look at my last video where I discuss all of my different styles. The first book that I read in January in 2026, which wasn't the greatest book, but I'm not super duper mad about it, was The Calico Cat at the Chibineko Kitchen. I am 100% butchering that. This book is about a kitchen that allows its customers to have foods and indulge in foods of their past, and it will allow them to see a ghost, a loved one who has passed away. It's basically a cheap copycat of Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I went into this knowing it wouldn't be the greatest piece of literature I've ever read. I just wanted to kind of push myself into the reading mood with the start of the year. It definitely was not great. It was very easy. I finished it pretty quickly, but the writing was very simple and ineffective, and the translation definitely did not help. The stories themselves were very predictable, unrelatable, unemotional, and those are all the aspects that usually make simple Japanese literature so special. I think I gave it 1 or 2 stars. It definitely was not great. I've also just remembered how damn expensive this was. Oh my gosh. Definitely not worth it, but again, I'm not super mad about it. It didn't take too much of my time or energy to read. That was very quick, but the next book I have a lot to say about, and it is Franny and Zooie by J.D. Salinger. This book is 100% a new favorite. It is about 2 sisters of the Glass family, Franny and Zooie. The first little section follows Franny on a date with her boyfriend/lover, and the second is Zooie at his home having conversations with his mother and Franny herself. They're both dealing with the grief of their older brother's suicide very differently, but in very similar ways at the same time. It is such a dreamy book, and it was so perfect to read this not long after reading The Bell Jar and being able to compare it with the monstrosity that book was. I have so many tabs here because there were just that many quotes that I loved. It definitely feels like the kind of book that I just want to be carrying around with me everywhere and just read a few pages of when I'm in the middle of a very hectic event in my life. There's loads of random discussions and details, and it did get a little exhaustive at times. I added my review here at the end. Salinger writes his novels with beginnings and ends that don't feel like beginnings or endings at all. This is a book about grief, change, constraints, connections, conversations, and comparisons. Franny and Zooie feel quite freakish, exempt from the world and each other and even themselves. The theatre, literature, religion are all discussed and intertwined with each other, and it felt very fragile and beautiful. I did feel a little bit out of place in the beginning, but quickly fell into Salinger's Rabelaisian style. I don't actually know how to pronounce that word. Rabelaisian? I love the amount of natural literary references that are pushed in here. I loved how every character felt so unique and special, even the shallow ones or the ones we weren't meant to like Lane. As little Easter eggs at the end, there was a wall of quotes that Zooie finds on his brother's wall. I love this because there were so many pieces of literature, authors that I liked, like Kafka, Baudelaire, a quote from Anna Karenina. It's just a perfect little book. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I think I might prefer it to The Catcher in the Rye. I want to read this quote that I really liked. Franny's confronting Zooie and she says, "You don't think anything's unusual or beautiful." And Franny responds, "Exactly what don't I think is beautiful? I don't care what you say about my race, creed, or religion, fatty. But don't tell me I'm not sensitive to beauty. That's my Achilles heel and don't you forget it." Yeah, there's weird insults in here as well. He calls his sister and mom fatty about 20 times a page. There are beautiful quotes in here and I loved it. The next book that I read after Franny and Zooie, which was banger after banger, 1984 by George Orwell. I didn't think I would ever get around to this because it does feel a little bit daunting, and my sister has attempted and failed at reading it a few times. 1984, if you don't already know, is set in, well, what was a futuristic society at the time when Orwell was writing, of a state with complete control and surveillance over its people. We're following, what's his name? What's his first name? No, Winston. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. Winston Smith. I promise I was focused when I was reading this. I don't know what happened to my brain. We're following Winston Smith, who's someone who feels like he's almost going crazy in his own mind because he feels resistant to the state. This book was incredible. I think it is such a special book because it manages to mingle fiction and a story with reality and academia. There is a section in the middle which is grating. It's a 40-page chapter where he reads a book, and it kind of feels like a commentary and analysis of the book within the book. It does all tie in nicely at the end, and oh my gosh, so masterful. I again added my review here at the end. A symbolic masterpiece, an important book for anyone who's to study politics, theory, institutions, corruption, indoctrination, even human psychology, warfare, and governments. Orwell comments on who we are as humans, individually and as a whole. And then this is kind of a general or a minor spoiler, but the suggestion that the book itself is a propaganda piece by Oceana is perfect. It did feel a little bit repetitive at times, and it definitely needs you to kind of stretch your mind and analysis in order to understand its full reach and extent by doing research of the context of Orwell's times. Orwell does great with his endings here as usual. This is my second Orwell book after Animal Farm, and I do think that's the order you should read his books in. Animal Farm is definitely a lot more of a satirical comedy, whereas this is quite a bit more serious. You're not meant to be interested in the story, even though that's kind of what it makes you think in the beginning. Beautiful book, and definitely deserves to be studied as much as it is. The last full book that I read in January was The Couple Next Door by Shari LaPena. This is about a couple who go to their neighbor's house for dinner. They're direct next door neighbors, and they keep their baby at home, and they keep checking in on it after every half an hour. And then when they come back home, the baby's gone. Oh my gosh, this sucked. I just crave a thriller that I actually enjoy. Every single thriller that I've read has just been trash after trash after trash. I didn't expect, again, a masterpiece when I picked this up. I just wanted something fast-paced, and I'll give it one thing. I definitely wanted to keep on reading, but I predicted everything. I predicted who would be guilty. I predicted why they would be guilty. It wasn't even suspenseful like other thriller books, like The Housemaid, for example. It wasn't a great piece of literature by any means, but oh my god, I wanted to know what was happening, and I was definitely shocked by the plot twists that just kept coming. This lacked any of that. Also, I feel zero sympathy at all for the characters. The only good thing I can say about this, obviously other than the fact that I read it very quickly, was I liked the ending, like the last scene I thought was very funny. Now I'm just going to give you guys my quick thoughts on the book that I'm currently reading because I started it in January and I haven't read it all in the month of February. I'm about a quarter of the way in, I want to say. This is The Clockwork Girl by Anna Mazzola, and it is about a girl in Paris who's sent to be a maid at a clockmaker's house to find out and figure out what he's doing and if he's doing anything out of the ordinary. It's set in 1750 Paris, which is a very poor place, or has some very poor places. We get lots of different perspectives of view, which I am really enjoying, and of course the premise of the novel is, as the quote says, deliciously gothic. It sounds like something that I would love, and it eerily shares a lot of the themes in the book that I'm currently writing, from Paris to poverty and war. Clockmakers as well are very important in my book, so I wanted to see how another author would tackle it. But I'll be honest, not much has happened so far. It feels so far like a very early draft of what could have been a really good novel. I am holding on to hope though. I'm thinking or hoping that there will be a lot more plot twists than what I'm expecting. And I'll let you guys know what my full thoughts on it are during my February reading wrap up. That is it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I apologize that it is probably going to be slightly on the shorter side. Let me know what your January reads were, your favorite book, your least favorite book, and any recommendations you have. As always, I will see you guys next week, and thank you again for watching. It wasn't even suspenseful.